what should businesses be looking at with regards to business continuity planning, taking a note from what has happened recently?
Well, certainly what businesses would have learned from this pandemic is that we all need to have a continuity of business plan. Now, typically in a lot of organizations, your continuity of business is situated with the risk management, and it's something that a lot of people in the firm consider to just be a nuisance. You have to have a plan, you have to have your recovery plans. Sometimes you have an off-site location where you can start up your systems again in the event that something happens. So before now, a lot of it seemed to be theory. It looked like it was an intrusion into day-to-day business because you have to take time out from your regular work to test your plan to make sure that everything is going okay. But we have now seen from this pandemic that it is real, that something can happen. Typically, there are different theories around disasters. Some people say once in every 21 years, something will go wrong. Once in 50 years, something will go wrong. This particular pandemic has been described as a once in 100-year occurrence. And if you look at history, people are saying the last time we had a worldwide pandemic was between 1917 and 1918. So the once in 100 years will tend to play out. However, there are other disasters that can happen in between. We've had localized epidemics, we've had natural disasters. So it is really clear that every company needs to be able to have a plan that if something goes wrong, what will we do? What will happen? How will we be able to continue in light of restrictions that could be unique to the business? In this case, we've had restrictions all over the world because it's a pandemic, as I said before. So it is key that companies can continue to operate when things like this, when events like this occur.
Okay, thank you very much, Kubi. Just like you said, it's clear to us now that it's real.
I couldn't hear Femi too well, but I heard something about business impact assessment. So I'll just take from what I heard. So business impact assessment is part of your business continuity plan. It's something you needed to have had in place before the pandemic. And it would have told you, it would have tried to quantify the level of expected loss, which of the parts of the business would be most impacted, which ones you needed to get up and running first, how you will get them up and running, and it will quantify what the company expects to lose. I think that was the question. Now, like I said before, formal companies tend to have such papers in order. I would believe they would be going back now, and from my experience in risk management, those documents tend to collect a lot of dust, so they would all have been dusted off. That's metaphorical, of course, but you'd have dug them up and you'd have started to apply them. Hopefully, I would think that for a formal company, even if they were old, they wouldn't be more than a couple of years old. So one of the first things you would be doing would be to look at it and to find out whether your projections and your reality are close. So that's one of the first things you would have done. If for a smaller business, because I'm aware that 30 to 40% of GDP in sub-Saharan Africa comes from SMEs. So for smaller businesses, I would think they would need to, it's something they would be doing now in the heat of the moment. That said, we had a lockdown. And during that lockdown period, business almost ground to a halt unless you were in medical and essential services. So for the rest of the businesses, that was a time to take stock and say, okay, this is what has happened to us. We can't do deliveries, or we can't open, or we can't provide certain services. Therefore, what are we going to do next? And how much do we think we will lose during this period? And if when you follow the news, you'll find out that countries keep coming up with revisions. They'll say, okay, we're going to be 4% down, we're going to be 10% down, we expect to recover in the third quarter. It's the business impact analysis at a country level that enable economies to do that kind of planning. And then you also feed in from your large corporates. In terms of essential services that continue, they are also impacted as well. So if you're in the medical field, your own business impact analysis would be, would I be having any patients coming in? Would my revenues from my normal patients continue? Would I have to do medicine differently? Or if you're one of the clinics that the government has assigned and said, okay, you'll be doing tests or you'll be treating patients for COVID-19, it's something that you would also have built into your assessment. And I'm just using medical because, of course, right now we're talking about a pandemic, which is a medical issue. And you'll notice that a couple of clinics are named as isolation centers. So that tells you that, okay, this is a business. Maybe we were just doing hearts, or we were specialists in orthopedics before, but we've changed our business model and we're trying to do that to lessen the impact of the pandemic on business as usual.